Welcome everyone. My name is Gustavo Gordillo from the Business Recovery Center and Impact Beaverton. Today we are the honor to host our presenter Kathy Bazan with a great topic, how create vibrant content. Welcome, Kathy. And remember, these workshops is the first to 5, so every Tuesday at noon, okay? And the presentation will be recorded later available via Impact Beaverton YouTube channels as a resource for a small business. We will also make the Spanish audio available through our talented interpreter, Jessica Dower, joining us today. Gracias, Jessica. Thank you. Kathy, it's all yours.
Thank you. Hi, I'm Kathy Bazan. I'm with the Business Recovery Center, but down in Tualatin. So Gustavo and I work together, helping small business owners get the information that they need to be able to succeed in this rather interesting time we've got going on here. As I mentioned, I'm the Business Recovery Center small business consultant down in Tualatin. I serve all of Washington County, Oregon. I work helping business owners understand the problems that they're facing and find solutions for them. I came into this work having been a social media writer for a corporation. During that 2.5 years I was with CPA Excel, I built their Facebook page from 0 to over 9,500 likes. Never bought an ad. For their blog, in less than 9 months, we had 100 organic hits a day. Those are people you don't have to pay for. And as a result, they were able to increase their sales. So the secrets that I learned doing social media are what I'm going to be teaching you today. If we can get the slides to move. Hang on. There we go. Unfortunately, a lot of people equate social media with snake oil. As you know, about 150 years ago in the Wild West, there were people who ran around in covered wagons selling snake oil. Snake oil was supposed to cure everything from hangnails to who knows what. Unfortunately, it never worked. So we have, unfortunately, right now, a lot of folks who say they're social media strategists or they're brilliant experts. They don't really know what they're doing and they're taking your money. So what I'm trying to do here is not only teach you how to write social media, but also if you have hired somebody, I want you to know what to look for. Your goal in social media is to be Wilson. If you remember the TV show Home Improvement, Wilson was over the back fence. Tim would come to him with whatever questions he had about life, about kids, about career, and Wilson gave him those answers. So your job is to be Wilson in whatever field you're working. So let's say you've got a lavender farm. What do you know about lavender? Well, there are a lot of different varieties, and those different varieties have different uses in different products. They're specifically bred to do specific things to help people. So instruct folks in your content about these different varieties of lavender and how they help people. So your goal is to figure out how to be Wilson for what you're doing. By the way, you will be getting access to these slides at the end of this, so don't worry about that. Let's just say for an example, excuse me, that I sell refurbished travel trailers. These might be classic travel trailers from back in the 50s and 60s that people who are baby boomers remember taking trips in with their parents. But now maybe there's a big screen TV, there's a very comfortable bed, there's a microwave. So I'm spiffing these things up and selling them. So to whom am I going to sell these? Well, probably going to sell them to a lot of baby boomers who, now that they're retiring or getting close to retiring, or will want to go hit the road. They want to go explore and see America just like they did when they were taken on trips by their parents. We also find that there are a lot of millennials who are trying to figure out what was so cool about the 50s and 60s, and they're buying these refurbished travel trailers. But here's how I go about figuring out who my audience is. And then I can actually start writing content specifically for those people. So I happen to know that baby boomers, the older baby boomers, were born between 1945 and 1956. So I'm going to arbitrarily pick 1952. It's my presentation. I can pick any year I want. What I'll do then is I'll go to Google or any search engine, and I'll look up the most popular baby names for 1952 because I want to be able to write to particular people. I'm going to pick Barbara, happened to be my mother's name, and I'm going to make up a backstory for her. So when I'm writing content for social media, the blog, my website, I'm actually thinking about her and what does she want to know so that she wants to buy one of my travel trailers and hit the road. So Barbara, in my case, is a retired paralegal with disposable income who loves to educate and, of course, spoil her grandchildren. So she's looking for anything where she can take the grandchildren on the road and teach them about America or Canada or wherever she's going. Okay, 1952, one of the most popular names for boys was Mark. Now that actually is a picture of Mark Harmon. It's my presentation, so that's the Mark I'm picking. So what I did for him though, instead of making him a TV star, I made him a retired engineer, and he wants to go explore America, history, engineering, anything having to do with nature with his wife. So I'm going to be writing content for him too. So for instance, for Barbara, I might write about finding activities she can do with grandkids. And at most of our national parks, they have different crafts and things that the rangers do with kids. But learning where to find those schedules and where to find that information takes a little bit of digging, but it can be done. So what does Mark want? Well, Mark wants to know, what can he find out about the lesser known events in American history? Obviously, he can find lots of information about the Civil War or the Revolutionary War. But what about California's War for Independence? Totally different object, and there are a number of parks, that celebrate that history. So what does Barbara want to know? I might write to her in the content, and I'm not saying that I'm starting out a blog post saying, "Dear Barbara, here's what you need to know." What I'm doing is saying, if you want to take your grandkids or your kids, you might want to go look at a website called Every Kid Outdoors to help you plan your trip. Here's what you can learn from that website. I might write a separate article about the Junior Ranger program. So any of these topics could become content for me. For Barbara, I want to be doing two different things. Now, the way that we write for social media comes in two different categories. If you're writing for your blog, which is on your website, if you're writing for the website or for LinkedIn, you want a very calm, professional voice, almost authoritarian. But Facebook and Instagram, totally different voice. You're happy, you're more like a cheerleader. This is so cool. Don't you want to go do it? So I can take the same content, retitle it. The best national parks to take the grandkids can become 20 cool national parks to take your grandkids. So I'll go into this a little bit more, but just remember, you need to change the title. You need to change the voice. So what does Mark want to know? He's going to take his wife. He's going to go look at beautiful national parks that have incredible natural beauty like Zion and Grand Canyon. But also, he's going to want to be looking for information about America's first engineer. America's first engineer was George Washington, our first president. He actually built one of the very early canals and surveyed the land to put this through. So there's a national park that celebrates his achievements. And Mark, being an engineer, is going to want to go check it out in one of my travel trailers. For those of you who've ever watched South Park, you know that Cartman has the right idea, but he's going about it wrong when we're talking about social media. Cartman, through force, is saying, respect my authority. What I want you to do is become Wilson, to become an authority, but you're doing it because you're sharing information with friends, not because you're clobbering them over the head. Okay, so let's figure out what you should write about. Well, very first thing is that you have keywords that are specific to what you're doing, that are different from everybody else's. So the keywords for a lawyer are going to be totally different from the keywords for a dentist. But what are keywords? They're actually fishing bait. Google has already analyzed what words somebody looks for when they're looking for an estate planning attorney. So if you put those words into your content, it's like putting bait out there, and people who are looking for an estate planning attorney will find you. Now, if you're not an estate planning attorney, maybe you don't want to use those words, but you're getting the idea. You want to find those keywords? I'm going to show you how. You can do it for free. You do not have to pay somebody to get these for you. When you do find your keywords, you may discover that what you were thinking about writing about is not what you should be writing about. I worked with a client who thought her main keyword was pain relief because of a particular piece of medical equipment she had. But in doing the research, I found that aging well was a much better topic. So we came up with aging well topics like staying active, staying connected, the athlete's secret weapon that she could write about. And she could use the words pain relief in any of these categories. But by aging well, she reached out to a bigger ocean of fish than she did when she said pain relief. If you're not sure what your keywords are, ask me. I'm happy to help. So what are you going to be doing? You're going to be using those keywords, using a skill that you learned in first grade. In first grade, probably on Monday, you were handed a spelling list by your teacher. And by Tuesday, you had to turn in a list of sentences made with those different words. So once you find your keywords, you're going to be using those words in sentences. And that's how those fish out there are going to find the bait that you put out in the ocean. The ocean we call the internet. And now for the fun part. To understand how to write social media content, you actually need to go back in time. So we're going to ask Mr. Peabody and Sherman, they're from a cartoon, to take us back in history so that we can figure out how it is we write content. In the beginning, well, not that far back, Google was originally a noun-based search engine. So if you were looking for something, a person, place, or thing, a tree, a cat, a rose, Google was great. It could find you anything you wanted. What you couldn't do was ask Google a question. It was not set up for that. So what happened was along came a website called AskJeeves.com, and it was the first natural language search engine. So you could actually ask Jeeves, what is a breed of short-tailed cat? What is a type of long-tailed lemur? And it would come back with an answer for you. What happened was Google realized that its proverbial lunch money was about to get taken by Ask Jeeves. So Google put its engineers in a room and said, do not come out till you give us a natural language search engine. Now on Google, you can do a noun search. You can look for yellow roses, short-tailed cat, tallest tree. But you can also ask Google a question. Where is the tallest tree in the world? What is the tallest tree? And Google can actually answer you now. So you want to create content that can be found by either one of those search engines inside Google. So how does Google find your content? Well, They've got web crawlers, robots, spiders going out all the time, looking for those keywords that Google has determined people are looking for. And there's a gazillion of these keywords. For one of my clients who's a reflexologist, I found over 400 keywords on reflexology. That'll give you an idea. So if Google's little critters find new content with those keywords in it, Google will then index that content, meaning that somebody else coming along can find information about antique drawer pulls that you may have written about for your hardware store or whatever it is you've written about. But unless you've got those keywords in there, Google can't find your content. They can't index it and other people can't find it. So you've basically gone to a lot of work for zero, okay? So what does a short-tailed keyword look like? Well, it's a noun or a noun group. It could be short-tailed cat, equine therapy, trendy hairstyles, music lessons, life coaching. Could be anything small and short like that. So if you're putting the right short-tailed keywords into your content, Google will find you. What's long-tailed keywords? Well, I put a lemur on here because it has a long tail, and I'm hoping that you will remember this based on the long-tailed lemur. A long-tail keyword is either a complete sentence or it's an interrogatory. It's a question. So it could be, where can I sit for the CPA exam? Where do lemurs live? What's the tallest tree in America? So you're asking a question, and that could be the title of your blog post, Facebook note, anything that you're writing. So if you've got at least one long-tailed keyword or two or three short-tailed keywords, Google is happy. Now, where can you find those keywords for free? Here are 10 different locations where you can find those for free. You do not have to pay somebody to do this for you. One of my favorites right now is Keyword Sheeter. It's very accurate, at least from what I'm dealing with. There's also one from WordStream. So you've got a number of these that you can play with, see what you come up with, and maybe do a keyword search on 2 or 3 of these and see how many of the words overlap. Okay, what do you want to do with them? Well, there's one other way to find keywords. It's called a grayscale search. And what you do is you go to Google or any search engine, put in what you're looking for. In this case, I put in coffee shop. And as you notice, all these different words come up that are associated with coffee shop. These are all short-tail keywords. So coffee shop near me, etc. These are words that I want to be putting into my Excel spreadsheet. That's how we hang on to these things. So whether you found your keywords doing a grayscale search, keyword sheeter, keyword surfer, any of these, you want to put them in an Excel spreadsheet so you can track which ones you know about and which ones you've used. This way, you don't have to look them up every morning. So it's good. What you can do too is that to the right of any of these keywords, you can add a column that says date used. So let's say I used improve your circulation and how to improve your circulation in one blog post for my client doing aging well. I would want to put in the column to the right of this the date. So the date that I used that might have been September 1st and September 1st. Then that way, the next time I go back to this list, I can see what I've used and see what I still need to use. Okay. So how many keywords do you need per article? And I define article as a piece of content, 300 words long. Really, it's easy to get there, don't fret. That could be a web page, could be a landing page, could be a blog post. It could be an Instagram story, Facebook post, or LinkedIn update. It could be any of these. depending upon where you put it. So when I say article, I just mean a piece of content. What you're looking to do, as I mentioned, is to have 2 to 3 short-tailed keywords. Those are your nouns, or at least 1 long-tail keyword, and that's a question or a statement. 5 insanely smart ways to save money on buying your next car. So how do you start writing? Well, look at your keywords list. If you need to, and you're not quite sure what to do, I always use the close the eyes and point trick, which is close your eyes, point at the list. And then I do that again and see what 2 short-tailed keywords I've landed on. Then I try to find a connection between them, and that's how I start writing. In addition, if I'm using a long-tail keyword, question or statement, it's real easy to use that as the title and then start looking for what other people have written on the web about that particular topic. Take a few ideas, blend them together into an article that's unique to what I'm doing at that time. All right, I mentioned this earlier, just briefly. When you're writing for your website, which would include your blog, or you're writing for LinkedIn, or you're writing for other people who are professionals, you want a calm, professional voice. But for Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, you want a more active, a more exuberant voice. And it's something you get used to doing after a little bit. I usually suggest to people to write the article the way it's easier for you to write. If it's easier for you to be calm and professional, write that one first, change the title, change the first paragraph, and put it on Facebook. But that way you're only changing the top part of the article. So you might have things where you're writing for your blog, how to save money on your wedding flowers. And then for Facebook, because you want to be a little bit more exuberant, 5 insanely smart ways to save money on your wedding flowers. So you're taking the same content, changing the title. Repurposing your content is going to save you a whale of a lot of time. That's why I suggest you do it. Some of Google's rules. Google, unfortunately, is our overlord. 86.86% of all searches are done on Google. So if you obey Google's rules, Mozilla Firefox will be very happy with you. So you do want to write at least 300 words in every piece of content. You do want to write at least an 8th grade English level. Be grateful. It used to be 12th grade and we all sounded like Masterpiece Theater. You know, we had to be specific about what we were doing. And again, use either 2 or 3 short-tailed keywords or 1 long-tailed keyword. All right, people ask me this question all the time. How much do you absolutely need to write? What's the minimum qualification? Google says that within any 1 month, if you pick any 1 week within that month and you post on your website and on social media 1 piece of content in each location during that 7-day period, Google is happy. Google knows you're alive. Are you going to move up in your Google rankings very much? Probably not. You're going to need to post more often than that. But at least they know you're alive and they haven't put you on page 10. So it's a start. I was lucky enough that I was a full-time writer for CPA Excel, so I didn't have to do anything else most of the time. As a result, I was able to write 2 Facebook notes a day, and they were called notes back then. They're now called posts. 8 tweets, 1 blog post, and in addition, I wrote web pages, landing pages, sales e-blasts, and edited textbooks on accounting. So I was doing a lot of different things. Because you're running a business, I don't expect you're going to be able to turn out this much content. It would drive you nuts if you tried. So back off, don't worry, it's okay. All right, we made it to the end here. I went zipping through that information pretty quickly. Do you have any questions? If you do, go ahead and unmute.